questions we can have. Already we are running a bit late. So if anyone who have questions, please identify yourself and also identify the questions to whom, which speaker.
My question to the speaker from CMC Vellore. My name is Dr. Prakash, advisor on infection control patient safety. It's my personal experience. My wife underwent 2 months back a knee ACL PCL repair in a accredited hospital and under the insurance cover. And insurance company actually refused to refund the gloves. Okay. So when we talk of quality, infection control, everything, and we pay sufficient premium, why should an insurance company refuse the reimburse the gloves to the organization or the hospital? What does it mean? That makes totally no meaning, having an insurance cover and is refusing for a quality. So somebody can answer on that.
I don't think I'm qualified to answer that because we have the same problem to the insurers ourselves. But you brought out the truth that the insurance company is not there to give you all the money that you want. They will negotiate and beat it down to as minimum as possible. And a significant amount of money we lose in our institution, even from state-sponsored schemes. You do an angioplasty for 60,000, they'll give you 20,000. The rest goes as charity. But that's the truth. I don't have an answer.
Thanks for raising that question. The fact remains in our country that healthcare costing has been it's not even in its stage of infancy. So when we look at the public health system, we truly have not determined the cost of care. In private sector, many people have done costing, whether you look at activity-based costing or other type of, the future is big data, because more and more insurance companies will start doing data mining to understand what Anupam beautifully mentioned about outcomes. So it is better for the payer to ensure that the patient recovers optimally in the internationally accepted time period in an acute care setup. It makes better sense. So quality, we have to monetize the aspect of quality. So I'm quite sure that what you just mentioned would be an aberration. More and more payers would also recognize that they need to accept the parameters which all healthcare providers look at for providing quality of care.
Good afternoon, sir. This is Satish. Actually, it goes to Sunil Sandy, sir. Single-use device, you are speaking about, we are using for a multiple purpose, multiple usage. There is any criteria or standardization for that, whether you can use for more and more purpose or otherwise, there is its own hospital policy?
At the moment, it is very stringent recycling systems and processes we've developed on our own. I can tell you what we do in the cath lab. We have arrived at, based on experience, how much does a diagnostic catheter last without losing its pliability and without making it brittle. So we know for each catheter from which company how long it will last. This has come from several years of hit and trial. And we've got those SOPs laid down, and that is how we do it. Now I understand that in the US now there is a move to look at recycling. Even JCI permits recycling of equipment, not everything. Again, it has to be customized, tailored to the equipment and used with judicious quality control. You don't want catheters breaking inside, so you have to make sure that this is controlled, and you also have bailout systems just in case it fails. That's the answer. So the straight answer to your question is, it is an institutional process which is not from any published data or anything.
Yeah, that's why the multiple-use device, single-use device, always everywhere they are telling about it is a manufacturer policy and manufacturer index. The manufacturer, if you ask, they will use as a bundle check, bundle care. It is not at all framed that this is the policy you can use like this. But even in NIPH auditing also, they are saying, yeah, you can use for a multiple time, but it is depend upon the bundle check and it is depend upon the quality. But we didn't know how many times we can use it. Whether how can you check the bundle check, whether it is a good or wrong. Few things we can identify, whether it is a tear or anything else. But apart from that, we couldn't know.
Yeah, I would like to add to that. In the 4th edition hospital standards, we have also revised our policy. Every hospital can identify the devices which can be reused number of times as per standard national and international practices. And they should define their procedure, how they will make sure, how they will validate the sterilization practices or sterility of that particular device. And besides sterilization, even the physical checks, how they will ensure that, and what is the policy. They have to make proper SOPs and follow those. Rest, I will request Dr. Murli, our TC chair, is here to throw some light on this, our new standards, what we have modified.
I think most has been discussed. Probably, I think we'll take that the new edition has given some guidelines. I think we'll, if at all during lunch, for want of time, we'll stop here. But in a nutshell, two important things. There are a lot of data available, both nationally and internationally, on how to go about this. All what we say is take one of them and follow it. Second is, it could also be as per your own hospital policy. So there is no direct answer to it, but it is based on data available as well as your own policy. Right.
Good afternoon all. This is Dr. Aisha from St. John's. I'm a student. This question is to both Anupam sir and Sunil sir. So as a student, I would like to know the operational challenges we would have in the beginning of the journey towards quality. And if we leave aside infrastructure and finance and come to manpower, is there a difference in a setup like CMC and in a setup like Apollo to handle the manpower resistance, and what are the challenges and how did you handle? Is it different, or are there common links between two types of institutes? Could you please share your views
Good
on
question. Try to answer that very briefly. It really is about the people. It's everything else is secondary. You know, it's really starts with the entire organization. And CMC is a fantastic organization where everyone is committed to the same goal. So if you want to go down the quality journey, it can't really be the CEO or the medical director or the nursing superintendent wanting to do it. Everyone has to actually do this. And I will just end by telling you that I remember when we were getting ready for the JCI audit for the first time. No hospital in India had even attempted JCI. And we were all really, really worried and scared that what if we fail? Everybody's going to look at us and say, you know, we told you were stupid. And the night before, you know, we were planning on who's going to go and pick up the JCI surveyors from the hotel. And I remember late on Sunday night, Peer Mohammed, driver who was assigned to pick up the team leader, who's employee number 1 of Apollo Hospital, Delhi. And he told me, Dr. Saab, आप देख लेना, कल हम इन सबको दिखा देंगे कि हम कितने अच्छे हैं. And then I knew that we were going to pass. So it's really about getting the team excited.
So we have come to the end of the session. To just sum up, Dr. Sunil has given us a lot of pearls of wisdom. The take home for all of us is sustainable healthcare. He gave us 2 interesting models. One is cross-subsidization, which definitely there are case studies on the Arvind Eye Hospital and of CMC Vellore. And the second aspect of how we can leverage economies of scale, which you can see in Narayana as well as in Vellore. So that is a big take home. Overall, from a pan-India perspective, both from public and private sector, we need to share best practices. And perhaps a forum like the NABH, because you have an army of auditors which go across the country. We could have a library of best practices which could be transmitted to all providers in India, and we can learn from each other. So that's the first aspect. From Anupam's presentation, beautifully said, the key to success when the Apollo model is where you have put the patient in the center of the entire ecosystem, to use the patient as a partner, and most important, the relevance and the clarity of clinical outcomes. That most of us, we talk about 99%, but the statistical aspect has not been really figured out. So again, a body like NABH could really lead the country forward. In fact, at many areas, we have made a public request that a neutral third-party entity like NABH could create a website where the clinical outcomes of all procedure for all hospitals in India could be published so that consumers we can just look at a website and say, okay, this hospital, this doctor, this is the clinical outcomes. So that could be the take-home message from Anupam. So thank you all, and let's move over for lunch. Thank you.
No, not lunch, I'm sorry.
Sorry,
Lunch
I'm
is
hungry.
a little more away. Thank you, chairpersons. Now I request, thank you, speakers and chairpersons. Now I request the chairpersons to hand over a small memento to the speakers. And I request Dr. Alexander Thomas to hand over a small memento to the chairpersons.